Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth, and salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Akwai. I'm back in here with another quick lesson, and today's lesson is there a reward for aiding the prophets? Right. So what I want to do is read a quick story of the prophet Elijah, and as always, Yahweh Ratazah, this would be an edifying lesson. And quickly, what inspired this lesson was an experience that happened at the Apostles' camp earlier this weekend. And I think these Israelites came up to the camp and they were inquiring, asking questions, and they were being very, very peaceable. And Apostle Kabar made a video yesterday in regards to people who always want to come and support the ministry, right? So what I want to do is, expound, the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, to expound a little bit more on what the apostle shared in his lesson, right? So first off, what I want to do is I want to jump to verse 8. So this is 1 Kings 17 and 8, and I'm going to read it in the NLT, so just bear with me. And it reads the following: Then the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai said to Elijah, Go and live in the village of Zarephath, near the city of Zidon. I've instructed a widow there to feed you. So he went to Zarephath. As he arrived at the gates of the village, he saw a widow gathering sticks, and asked her, Would you please bring me a little water and a cup? Verse 11. As she was going to get it, he called her, Bring me a bite of bread too. But she said, I swear by my Lord Yahweh, your power, that I don't have a single piece of bread in the house, and I have only a handful of flour left in a jar, and a little cooking oil in the bottom of a jug. I was just gathering a few sticks to cook this last meal, and then my son and I will die. Right. So this woman here is, Elijah went to go see this woman, right? Because essentially there was kind of like a drought and a famine going on at this moment, right? So when you read above, it actually explains that ravens actually brought him some food to eat, right? So the Most High was actually taking care of Elijah during this time, right? So verse 13, and it reads, But Elijah said to her, Don't be afraid, go ahead and do just what you said, but make a little bread for me first, then use what's left to prepare a meal for yourself and your son. This is what the Lord, power of Israel, says. There will be flour and olive oil left in your containers until the time of the Lord Yahweh sends rain and the crops to grow again. So she did as Elijah said, and Elijah and her family continued to eat for many days. Right. So I want to jump down to where it says when it comes to the woman's son, right? So the next title here, it says Elijah raises the widow's son. So this is verse 17, and it reads, Soon time later the woman's son became sick and grew worse and worse, and he finally died. Then she said to Elijah, O man of God, what have you done to me? Have you come here to point out my sins and kill my son? But Elijah replied, Give me your son, and took the child's body from her arms and carried him up the stairs to the room where he was staying, and laid the body on his bed. Slakia. Then Elijah cried out to the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, O Lord, my power, why have you brought this tragedy to this widow who has opened her home to me, causing her son to die? Right? So, the Most High, in this moment, Elijah Slaki was pleading with the Lord, why have you, done this, right? Because the woman, she opened up her space, and she gave the she let Elijah, she fed him, took care of him, and so on and so forth, right? So verse 21, and it reads, and she stretched out, and he stretched himself over the child 3 times and cried out to the Lord, O Lord, my power, please let this child's life return to him, right? The Lord heard Elijah's prayer, and the life of the child returned, and he revived. Then Elijah brought him down from the upper room and gave him to his mother. Look, he said, your son is alive. Verse 24. Then the woman told Elijah, now I know for sure that you are a man of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and that the Lord truly speaks through you, right? So, to what I really wanted to get out from this lesson, not this lesson, Salakia, but essentially this this story, right? Because the woman not having much, she actually, the Lord put a spirit on her to actually, take care of Elijah during this time. And through this woman's actions, through this woman's care, and opening her space, with the little that she had, the little cooking oil, the little bread and flour and whatever it is that she had, she was able to still, take care of that prophet in that time, during that time, with what, the things that, the little bit that she had, right? So, I just thought that was very interesting to equate that to, there are, and in 1 Corinthians 12, it goes into, the different, offices, and it also talks about helps as well, right? So, there is a reward, because, at the end of the story, what happened? The woman's son, was brought back to the life. The Lord, in 1 Samuel chapter 2, I think verse 6, it says that, the Lord killeth and he maketh alive, right? The Lord is a balanced power. As a matter of fact, let me just grab that real quick. I don't have that on my list. Okay, 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 6, and Lord Yahweh gives both life and death, and brings some down to the grave, but raises others up, right? So, the Lord, I know one of the things we always talk about is the fearful, the terror of the Lord, right? But this is an example of the Lord actually being merciful, because of the woman's actions, right? And this is something I think, we can learn as well, right? And for the few helps that are not directly on the front lines, this is also nuggets you can add and riches you can add to your spiritual bank account, right? How you deal with the prophets, especially during these times, right? Because we know, pursuant to Revelation 12, Esau's going to come down with great wrath, but he knoweth, let me just get it. Revelation 12:12, and it says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath a short time, right? So during this time, how you deal with the prophets, how you deal with the men of the Lord, starting with our apostles and elders on down, who've been giving this word and treading out the understanding. There's a scripture that talks about treading out the ox. Don't muzzle the ox that treads out the corn, right? That extracts all the corn, that gives you all the understanding, right? During these times, right? These are things you can add to your spiritual, bank account, right? Because what happens, you want the Lord to remember these things during these times of wrath, calamity, famine, drought, right? Jacob's trouble, the MOTB, all these different calamities, for example, right? So let's get a couple more precepts. Okay, this is Matthew chapter 10, verse 42. It reads, and whosoever shall give a and whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. As a matter of fact, let me get that in the NLT. Just bear with me 1 second. Oh, and the title here, it says reward of service. Okay, in the NLT it says, and if you give even a cup of cold water to one of the least of my followers, you will surely be rewarded. And this is the Hawashai speaking, right? So, this is something very interesting to also keep in mind, because, during these calamities, during these times of, impending crisis, and we have wars and rumors of wars, these are things that we can add into our spiritual bank account, right? Let's get Psalms. Okay, this is Psalms chapter 125, verse 4, and it reads, do good, O Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahweh, unto those that be good, and to them that are upright in their hearts, as for such that turn aside unto their crooked ways, the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh shall lead them forth with the workers of iniquity, but peace shall be upon Israel, right? So, asking, the Lord, for those who actually do good and walk uprightly and be good to those that are, who are showing that mercy and that kindness and actually doing those little things for the men of the Lord, for our apostles and elders on down, right? And these are things that we can also keep in mind as well, like how we deal with each other, right? Because it says in I think in John it says, and then you shall know who are my disciples by the way you love and you treat each other, right? Let's get okay, this is Tobit chapter 4. I'll start at verse 7. Let's see, and it reads, give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious. As a matter of fact, let's get that word envy. Get that word envy in the etymology. Just bear with me 1 second. So jealous. Okay, so full of envy. Okay, let's get it. To hate, look at malice, right? So don't have a malicious eye, right? When you give alms, right? So let me just read it again. This is Tobit chapter 4, verse 7, give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face away from any poor, and the face of Yahweh shall not be turned away from thee, right? So, we want the Lord to, remember us, during times of mercy, right? And, and that's something of the flesh, right? Because the flesh always wants to, always, sometimes will carry that malice, you might have, right? And that's something that, we have to, like, try our hardest to, like, purge those things out, purge out those thoughts, right? Verse 8, and it reads, if thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. If thou have but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little, right? So it's very, very interesting. This strongly exemplifies that widow, because she didn't even have much in that house. She said, I only have a little cooking oil. I only have some flour, some water to drink. She didn't have that much to begin with, right? But she did what she could. She gave that alms according to that substance that she had, right? Right? So, wow, that's beautiful. In verse 9, and it reads, as a matter of fact, I want to read this again. If thou hast substance, give alms accordingly. If thou have but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little, right? So, if you don't have that much, a lot of us, we don't have, we're not millionaires like Bishop Nate with $150 million net worth. A lot of us don't have that much, but, the little that we have, we help, right? We give those alms to those who are in need, right? Our brethren that are, dire situations. Some of us might be a little bit more well off than others, but according to what we have, right? Verse 9, and it reads, for thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity, right? And the day of necessity is when all these, society starts to collapse, and there's famine of the word, and so on and so forth. Jacob's trouble, right? So these are good treasure, and this good treasure, when you could link this with Matthew chapter 6. Matthew chapter 6 goes into laying up those spiritual treasures, right? Not the carnal treasures like, majority of the, our people in the world. Like, these are spiritual treasures, right? Because we want that hedge of protection around us. Lord willing, the Lord has mercy upon us, right? I'm at 18 minutes. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go to one more. This is one of my favorites. Okay, this is Proverbs 11:4, and it reads, riches profit not in a day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death, right? So that's straight, plain forward, right? So, as always, hopefully these videos are edifying. And, some things to keep in mind, some practices to keep in mind. Pray before you leave your house, because, these times are evil. Pray over your food before you leave work, and so on and so forth. And then, anyways, that's all I've got. Hopefully, as always, this video is edifying, and I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth. Until next time, I say Shalom.